Shalom, 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 family. This is your girl Sade. Today I'm going to be doing a short um, presentation, presentation on the Newer People Religion by E. Evans Pritchett. So he has a book and it's titled Newer Religion, and it's by E. Evans Pritchett. He also have a book on the newer people, meaning their government, how they govern themselves, and so forth. So I have the one on the newer people religion. So I'm going to share some of the information he has wrote about regarding the newer people. It says the newer people religion by E. Evans Pritchard. I am, of course, aware that newer religion is very unlike what we know in general about Negro religions. One cannot even say that it is a typical Nilotic religion. It is certainly very unlike the religion of the Anuak, of the Luo of Kenya, of the Alkali, of the Alur, or of the Shilluk. Indeed, only the religion of the Dinka can be said to have strongly marked affinities with it. And it can be further said that in some respect the religion of these two people resemble less other Negro religion than some of the historic religion. So to the right, this is the Dinka people here, and the bottom is the Nuer tribe, and this is a Dinka tribe because they compare, say they're similar, very similar. Next slide. The Dinka and Nuer people. So this is the Dinka people, and this is the Nuer people. So let's talk about the biblical description that they're comparing them to. It says, they, meaning the Nuer and the Dinka, features which bring to mind the Hebrews of the Old Testament. Professor C. G. Seligman clearly sensed this, as his account of the Dinka and Nuer shows, and Miss Ray Huffman, an American Presbyterian missionary who spent many years among the Nuer, remarked that the missionary feels as if he were living in Old Testament times, and in a way this is true. When therefore I sometimes draw a comparison between Nuer and Hebrew conception, it is no more mere whim, but is because I myself find it helpful and think other may do so too, in trying to understand newer ideals to note this likeness to something with which we are ourselves familiar without being too intimately involved. So to the right again is the culture of the newer people, and if you notice something around her neck, there's a cross. Now, the Most High said when He scattered His people that they would what? Worship the God of wood and the God of stone, the Mecca and the cross, which is Christianity and Muslim. So our people are deep in this religion right here and the Muslim religion. In fact, most of our people is in both of those religions. And I just thought I would go ahead and share some information about Abraham because Abraham was also Nilotic. It says the biblical data indicates that many people and clans comprise the Afro-Asiatic dominion. Among them were the Sumerian, the Nubians, and other Nilotic Nilotic. It says the Ansudra, the Anu, the Canaanites, and peoples of the Mesopotamia in the Indus River Valley. Linguistic and archaeological evidence suggests that the religion of the ancient Dravidian priests reflect Proto-Saharan beliefs and practices, the same practices that the Nuer and the Dinka people that we're presently talking about. It says Abraham is a descendant of the Cushite kingdom, builder Nimrod. In the Bible, the term Cushite refers to a Nilotic and Proto-Saharan people, and in particular to the ruler priests, descendants of Noah by the generation of Cush, Genesis 10:6-11. Cush was the father of Nimrod, who established his kingdom in the Euphrates Valley and established the city of Akkad. This explains the linguistic connection between the Nile and Mesopotamia. The Akkadian script of Nimrod's kingdom is linguistically Afro-Sumerian, and Sanskrit is closely related. I said Abraham was also a descendant of the Cushite kingdom, which makes him part Nilotic. Next slide. Nuer cattle herding people who serve Yah of heaven. So what I did was there's some pictures to your left. This is an extra from the website. This is something I created. Um, so when I was creating it, in fact, I created this off the AI before I even found this on the Nuer people in the cattle herding. It says the Nuer, a cattle herding people dwelling in the swamp and savanna of the southern Anglo-Egyptian Sudan. The Nuer, a description of the modes of livelihood and political institution of a Nilotic people, was published in 1940, and Kinship and Marriage Among the Nuer in the present volume, Nuer Religion. It's a new religion. It completes a study of the Nuer, which began in 1930. So he began this study of the Nuer population and the Dinka population and their religion, and also their how they govern themselves, started back in 1930. So he has two books out. God in the Nuer language translation. God, the Nuer word we translate, God is Kawak. I think I'm pronouncing that right, but anyways, spirit means spirit. Nuer also speak of him more definitely as Kawok Nehal or Kawak A Nehal, spirit of the sky or spirit who is in the sky. There are others and lesser spirits which they class as Kut Nahal, spirits of the sky or of the above, and Kut Pani, spirit of the earth or of the below. And then he goes on to say that he discussed the concept of God first because the other spiritual conceptions are dependent on it and can only be understood in relation to it. So again, he's talking about doing the studies, talking to the elders there, and getting the kind of understanding of their concept of God, which is very biblical, as he said at the beginning, that their culture was more like the Hebrew Israelites in the ancient time. Newer word we translate God is Kawak. The newer Kawak, like the Latin spiritus, the Greek pneuma, and the English derivatives of both words, suggest both the intangible quality of air and the breathing or blowing out of the air, like the Hebrew ruach. It is onomatopoetic and denotes violent breathing out of air, in contrast to ordinary breathing. In its verbal form, it is used to describe such actions as blowing on the embers of a fire, blowing on food to cool it, blowing into the uterus of a cow while a toucan is propped up before it to make it give milk, snorting, the blowing out of the air, or the blowing out of air by the puffish, and the hooting by steam pressure of a river steamer. The word is also found and has the same general sense in some of the other Nilotic languages. So describing how they see their God in their language. Okay, I just see this little picture to the right with him blowing. Another one of my creations. It's a newer name for spirit is Kawak. As a noun, however, Kawak means only spirit, and in the particular sense we are now discussing, it means Kawak Nahal or Kawok a Nahal, spirit of the heavens or spirit who is in the heavens. The cupola, a in the second designation, being one of the verbs we translate to be Nehel, is a sky, and combined with the verb The word may also refer to certain natural process associated with the sky, as raining and thundering, but it may also have merely the sense of on high or above. So God or the spirit on high or above. We may certainly say that the Nuer do not regard the sky or any celestial phenomenon as God, and this is clearly shown in the distinction made between God and the sky in the expression spirit of the sky and spirit who is in the sky. Moreover, it would even be a mistake to interpret of the sky and in the sky too literally. And this speaking about the newer name for spirit is Kawak. So we say spirit, their word is Kawak. And this word is more than likely, for sure, more old. It's much older than this word spirit, the language, the pronunciation, or the name. Now, this is a little small, so it says a newer relation of man to God. It says Newers do not think of relation of man to God as one of one soul, as a separate entity. So spirit, but as one of the whole man to spirit. The state of the conscious, as we could call it, may be one element in the relation, but peace of mind is very much bound up with should be with it. Welfare of body and a state. So that really shouldn't that little period there shouldn't be there. It says it goes on to say this is evidence from the way they regard the breach of an interdiction which is thought to bring into operation directly and often almost immediately spiritual sanctions. We may speak of such a breach of sin. Sin, with the suffering it brings about, is central to the study of new religion. God, the next paragraph, God was thought by Nuer merely to have created a man and then to have ceased to interest himself in human affairs, where would be no point at all in their paying and attention to him, and sacrifice would be meaninglessly act. It is because spirit constantly manifests itself to man and intervene in their enterprises and affairs that we have the subject of this book, a religion of the Newers. It says, I draw attention again to the paradox and mentioned in chapter 1 of God being far away in the sky and yet present with men on earth. But we now see that it might better be described as an intuitive understanding of the relationship between God and man. God is far removed from man, and that man cannot ascend to him. He is very near in that he can ascend to man. So again, this is a author that's writing about the newer, newer religion. And the book is probably about like a 500 page. I mean, it has a list of different subjects. It talks about God is the God, spirit of the above, the spirit of the below, spirit and the social order, the problem of symbols, soul and ghosts. It talks about sin. It has sacrifices, spirit symbolism, the sacrificial role of cattle, the meaning of scripture, priests and prophets. Some reflects on newer religion, so forth. So it's a book that's about 303 by 304 page, 323 page. Yeah. So that's the context of it, content. And it has some list of illustrations and place like pictures and stuff in the book showing their culture and their belief system. God in the universe, Newer acknowledges. Okay, I am so sorry at the right. Kind of. I guess I can read that at the top right. It says it would equally be a mistake to regard the association of God with the sky as pure metaphor. For though the sky is not God, and though God is everywhere, he is thought of as being particular in the sky. And newer generally think of him in a special sense as being on high. Hence, anything connected with the firmament has association with him. Nor sometimes speak of him as falling in the rain and of being in lightning and thunder. So they believe that he's in everything. He's a force in everything that they do, everything that they associate with. He's part of that. It says, when the Nuer see the new moon, they rub ashes on their foreheads, and they throw ashes and perhaps also a grain of millet towards it, saying in some short prayer, as grandfather, let us be at peace, or Noon, Nadine, daughter of the air spirit, Ding. We invoke God that thou shouldst appear with goodness. May the people see thee every day. Let us be Akulako. I don't know what that means, but next slide. I think this is the last slide. And like I say, this is a little short slide I want to share. And the reason I'm sharing this because in the book is because I share these books and some of the information out of the books just to encourage our people to go start researching, because you'd be surprised what's out there that talks about God's truly chosen people and where they're scattered. They're all over the place, given different names, different locations, but what they do have, what I'm finding, is they have thousands of years of the culture that they've been keeping, in the relationship with the Torah. It's deep in their culture. So, anyways, I just like I say, I like to share books and bring them on my channel to kind of like encourage people, for those who like to do research and like to read. So the last slide is this. It says, God being above everything, above is associated with him. This way, the heavenly bodies and the movement and actions connected with them are associated with him. This is why this is why also the spirit of the air are regarded as God, Kavak, children of God. In a way, other spirits are not, for they, unlike other spirits, dwell in the air and are also thought of as being in the clouds, which are nearest to the sky. This is why also the Kovic spirit are so closely associated with God, for he touches them with his fire from heaven and took them to himself. Some birds are spoken about by Nuer as God of Kawat, especially those which fly high and sing, almost like a dove, probably like. To us as well as to Nuer, to belong to heaven rather than to earth, and therefore to be children of the light, excuse me, symbols, um, to belong to heaven rather than to earth, and therefore to be children of light and symbol of the divine. And to the right, it says, between God and man, between heaven and earth, there is a great gulf, and we shall find that appreciation of the symbolism of the polarity of heaven and earth helps us to understand new religious thoughts and feeling, and also shed light on certain social features of their religion. For example, the great prestige of prophets, then of priests. I'm going to do one on the prophets and priests. That's really interesting. Um, that's a real interesting chapter, and it has a lot of the concept from biblical time. So again, uh, Evan Pritchett has recognized that the newer people are the Hebrew Israelites, the ancient Hebrew Israelites, or descendants of the ancient Hebrew Israelites. That's like I said, I think that's the last slide. Um, Now you have to understand too that our people also have been influenced by missionaries, Western missionaries, and other missionaries. So we've been, it's there, it's in there, some of it, and you can tell, a little mixture of that in there. So, anyways, I just thought I would share that. I think this is it. Yes, it is. So I say, shalom, you all, and have a blessed evening. And I truly hope you enjoyed this little slideshow presentation. And again, I do these little short presentation. And what I do, I introduce the book that I'm getting information to and the resources. And I'm really hoping that you all taking notes of some of these resources because they're really good. And if you want to buy books, the best place to buy books that are reasonable is called AB Books, ABE Books. I buy all my books from them. And they're reasonable too. And what they do is they have the original, when they have to reprint them, it's from the original book. Um, so it's not like they to give you some other type of book that maybe they rewrote and added their name on it or whatever. But it's actual from the actual book. They print it from the actual book and then they sell them. And the book I have is from this the actual book itself, so it's not a reprint. So again, you are shalom. Have a blessed evening, and I hope you enjoyed again this presentation. Shalom.